Every day the oceans crash upon countless beaches. More often than not, oddities arrive between the usual flotsam of shells. There is always the mandatory monster's carcass and wild species, so surprising that few can recognize them. The more the most bizarre shoreline finds are usually man-made, from large pieces of foreign harbors to hundreds of Garfields. Beach combing is lucky deep or sea. Here are top 10 unusual shoreline finds. Number 10. Enormous sunfish. In 2019, a couple strolled along a beach in South Australia. When they reached Murray River, something caught their eye. Near the mouth of the river was a huge object. At first they thought that the weird-looking fish was fake. However, the creature was very real and very dead. One can understand why they thought it was a hoax. For anyone who has never seen one, sunfish are odd-looking. Their fins sit too close to their tails, and a, they have a big and a surprised-looking eyes. Additionally, this particular fish was enormous and not a local customer. Called the oceanic sunfish, it drifts all across the world but rarely visits South Australia. Early that month, another species beached in California, known as the hoodwinker sunfish. It solidly smashed the belief that this type only live in southern hemisphere. Nearly all species count among the heavy weights of fish, but swimmers have nothing to fear. Sunfish nibble on zooplankton and jellyfish. Number 9. Ice tsunamis. North American beaches sometimes meet with walls of ice. Despite their name, ice tsunami do not move with the speed or devastation of real tidal waves. Technically, when heaps of ice clatter a beach, it is called an ice shelf. The frosty phenomenon fringes the shorelines of large lakes, occurring when spring arrives and winds sweep the breaking ice outwards. Some shoals are not satisfied with staying on the beach. When there is enough ice and strong winds, the stacks can overrun retaining walls and crossroads. A 2001 crash piled ice 4.9 meters, 16 feet high on the beach of Alaska's Chukchi Sea. The flows also have an interesting effect on large rocks at the bottom of the lake. When the frozen sheets expand and contract suddenly from temperature swings, they maneuver boulders onto the shore. This process forms what is known as ice push ramparts, and they can measure 1.5 meter, 5 feet across. Number 8. Monster driftwood. In 2010, Philip Lachman and his daughter walked on the beach in Washington. Lachman, a retired teacher living in the nearby community of La Push, also had his camera with him, which was a good thing as they found a pretty impressive piece of driftwood. When they come in this size, they are called drift logs. The tree was never measured, but it dwarfed Lachman's daughter, who posed to have a picture taken next to it, and she was 183 centimeters, 6 feet tall. A park official from the surrounding Olympic National Park admitted that the size of the drift log was a rare sight even though the sea is known for big forest trees. It was probably felled by a winter storm before bobbing down a river and ending up on the shore. It was not a simple matter of floating into place. Researchers estimated that exceptionally powerful wind had to have been present to push this monster ashore. The three species could not be identified, but it was probably a Douglas fir, a Sticta prus, or a western red cedar. Number 7. Rare jellies. Holly Horner was a professional wildlife photographer. For 45 years she walked the beach in Brittenton, New Jersey. In 2018, she encountered something that matched nothing in her experience. It was a bright turquoise creature, round and fringed, with feather-like tendrils. It also resembled a jellyfish. Several washed ashore and caused a sensation among beachgoers. However, scientists have already met the blobs. Called blue buttons, they are not jellyfish but related to the Portuguese man of war instead. A single button hosts a predatory colony, working together to stun prey. Luckily for swimmers, they do not have the same horrible sting as their Portuguese cousins. The odd thing about the New Jersey button is that they are not native to the area. Researchers believe that they were happily bobbing around about in the Gulf Stream when Hurricane Florence kidnapped them. Unfortunately, most of them likely perished in the following weeks when local temperatures dropped to a level to which they were not accustomed. Number 6. The Wolf Island Creature. In 2018, the sea left something on the beach. The creature washed up in Georgia at the Wolf Island National Wildlife Refuge. Jeff Warren found and photographed the remains. After he distributed the images to media outlets, it divided the scientific world in two. Some supported the notion of an unknown species or a known animal rendered unrecognizable by decomposition. Other marine experts were not satisfied that the thing had ever lived. The decay was too neat. There was no flayed skin, damaged extremities, or exposed internal areas. Although the Loch Ness Light thing was probably a hoax, if this was someone's idea of a joke, they chose the perfect location. The area is the haunt of a mythical creature called the Altamaha monster. The photographs match the artistic depictions of the animal, but the one thing that could have solved the case, the creature's body had vanished. Number 5. Human Urns. In 2019, a beachcomber took his 14-year-old son, Martin, with him. They found a funeral urn, the first of three to show up on Katwijk and Noordwijk Beach in the Netherlands. The other two were discovered by a woman and a fisherman respectively. The teenager Martin thought the urn might contain drugs, but once he opened the container, the content was clearly human remains. All three urns were marked, which allowed them to trace back to a crematorium in Germany. German laws surrounding human remains are very strict. Rarely will permission be given for ashes to remain in a private home or garden. Sea burials are permissible with biodegradable vessels, but the Dutch finds were made from aluminium. The urns sparked a furious debate about how they ended up where they did. Then a Dutch shipping company came clean. The three urns had been aboard one of their ships. Had things gone according to plan, they would have scattered the ashes at sea. Instead, an employee accidentally dropped the box with the urns and it fell overboard. Number 4. Frozen turtles. Every year in November, a few turtles become stranded in New England. The 2018 batch was far from normal. Hundreds washed ashore. Many were from the critically endangered Thames Ridley species. The reptiles had been caught in a cold snap, which was not a good thing for creatures needing warmth to function. Cape Cod's beaches counted 219 animals. Within 3 days, only 46 clung to life, while the rest had already died. During one of the 3 days, the weirdest thing happened. On a Thursday, 82 turtles came ashore. Except for one, they were all dead and frozen solid. One researcher noticed that their flippers were in odd positions, almost as if they had been flash frozen while swimming. The following day, a Friday, temperatures rose slightly and more of the beach turtles were found alive. Number 3. The French Group. The English Channel coastlines house a busy shipping lane. Strange things often float to its beaches, but none match the greasy balls that arrived in 2017. Hundreds of yellow clams lined miles of northern France's beach. There were there was a faint whiff of paraffin wax, but paraffin melts in the sun and this group never did. Authorities issued a statement that the spongy-looking balls were probably not dangerous. In the same breath, they could not positively say that what the objects were made of. Pollution watchdogs were more realistic and warned people not to touch the stuff. Considering that tons littered miles of coastline, some beachgoers undoubtedly touched the gunk. Thankfully, no marked reports were forthcoming. The only clue seemed to be that fluff balls originated from an oil product. One theory suggested that it was some kind of boat exhaust grease that solidified once it came into contact with the cold seawater. Number 2. Tons of invasive life. When the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami hit Japan in 2011, a lot of debris got sucked back into sea. A year later, one such item floated into Oregon. The Japanese dog measured 20 meters, 66 feet long, and was encrusted with 100 tons of sea lice. This may sound peachy, but scientists were horrified. There is a huge problem in the sea with invasive species, some so aggressive that native creatures cannot compete. Environmentally speaking, the tsunami dog was a ticking bomb. The floating island had an astonishing variety of anemones, starfish, urchins, algae, crustaceans, worms, snails, mussels, and much more. Most had already towed the dog home before the tsunami hit. After it was torn from its moorings, the float picked up more hitchhikers at sea. Admirably, the dog team citizens survived traveling across the open Pacific. However, they were destroyed to prevent the threat they pose to native species. The threat may still be realized. Some could have dropped off the dock earlier and already settled in Oregon's shores. Number 1. Garfield Phones. Garfield the cat is a cartoon art icon. During the 1980s, a company created novelty Garfield phones that became very popular. Mysteriously, they started to appear along the coastline of France. The feline flotsam invaded French beaches for decades, long after the phone popularity had passed. In 2019, environmentalists finally found the source. A local man knew the secret all along, only it was not a secret to him. After learning that the rest of humanity considered the washed-up Garfields a mystery, Rene Morvan told his story. In the 1980s, he and his brothers had explored a seaside cave They found a shipping container inside. Among other things, it contained an enormous number of Garfield phones. Morvan took the anti-litter organization, Avalitanso, to the site where they found the plastic cats and containers. Records show that local storm raged around the time that the Morvan brothers made the discovery. The storm probably knocked the container off the passing ship and crushed it into the cave. So this is the end of the top 10 unusual shoreline finds, and hope you guys enjoy it. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment.